Hello, hospitality feasibility class. This is part two of January 26th. This is going to be much shorter than part one, just going through some logistics that I'm sure many of you will be asking. So, next week in class, we have a guest that is visiting us. It is John Lancet from HVS. John is the Senior Managing Director and Head of HVS in the Southeast and Caribbean. He is an FIU grad, so he'll be on campus as part of Panther Alumni Week. In addition to being an FIU grad and a senior industry professional at HVS, where he and his team do a lot of feasibility studies, appraisals, valuation, consulting, and special project work. He's also on the FIU Hospitality Real Estate Advisory Board. He's a great guy. So you're going to hear from him in the first part of class, his trajectory, his career trajectory, how he went from being a student to where he is now, what he's learned along the way, what he and his team spend their time on. He's going to spend a little bit of time talking about what he wished he would have done when he was in college or in grad school, and what he's looking for and what HVS is looking for in interns and in postgraduate new hires. It'll give you a sense of sort of what's changed over time, and I think that will be interesting. That will be the first part of class. In the second part of class, each group together is going to stand up in front of the class and present their preliminary identified competitive set for the group project. Again, remember the group project is creating a full feasibility report, which we'll be working through over the rest of the semester. One of the beginning steps is identifying the competitive set that who you think the property, the canopy that you have is going to compete most directly with. So you have to get together as a group and present next week in class. I'd recommend having a few slides, no more than 10. It could be 3, it could be 5, but no more than 10, and each group will have 10 minutes to present. You should be explaining your thoughts on the site, the physical site, where it is, what it is, and why you selected the competitive set that you selected. You must have at least 4 hotels in the competitive set. You can have as many as you want, but I would recommend no more than 7 as a maximum, or the data starts to get diluted. But everyone should have a point of view, and each group is going to present just one competitive set. It's not different members of the group say, well, I think this and I think this. You're presenting as if you're presenting to John Lancet as the client, right? Your client for the group project is Maria Gonzalez from the lender. You'll pretend that it's you're presenting to John Lancet and identifying who you're going to use as a competitive set and why you chose each of those hotels. In terms of selecting the hotels, you should be reading a few documents that are in the required reading module on Canvas. One is called 5 Things to Know to Ensure CompSet Success. One is CompSets Decoded, and one is STR Competitive Set Trend Reporting Guidelines. They're all very short documents. You should be using the STR census and pipeline, right? Which will be posted in the group project module. And the first half of this class, right, we went through what's in them and how to use them and how to narrow down the list of hotels to create a competitive set. That's what's going to happen next week in class. Again, everyone in each group must stand together in front of the class. Everyone must have a speaking role, so it could be just a minute. It could be 30 seconds. And I would recommend having some slides. It's always good to have a visual. It's easier to talk off of. There's no right or wrong answer. At the end of each 10-minute group presentation, John Lancet and I will ask some questions. And then when all groups are done, we'll ask some more questions. And I think it'll be interesting because not everyone will select the same competitive set. So that's the mission for next week's class. I am distributing the list, the class roster with who is in what group. So make sure that you're connected with all of your fellow group members, right? And again, everyone should be included. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. The best will be by text or via email is not as good. Text I will see quicker at 917-238-6917. As you go along the way, if you have questions, you can send me questions, and I may respond in the form of an email to the entire class if I think the question is relevant to everyone. The good news is after the class, you'll be able to change your thoughts on competitive set. So if you think you got something wrong or are unhappy with sort of where you ended, you can change and then submit it to me, and I'll order the STR trend reports and custom P&L reports for your groups. So you're not fully locked into it, but you should have a point of view on why you've selected each one, and some of that should include how close it is to the proposed canopy site, why you've selected it, how large it is, who you think it appeals to, how old it is, how many rooms, does it have comparable meeting space, does it have comparable restaurant space, what's the branding, right? So whole list of things, and a whole list of things that we discussed during the first half of this class. So we're gonna cut this reasonably short, because I need you to be working together as a group, and that's where you should spend the time. And by the way, that's how it's done in the real world, right? Groups work together, and you all may not agree on everything, so you may have to duke it out. I think you'll probably agree on most, but there may be some disagreement on one or two of the properties in the competitive set. And that's it for class today. I'm sorry I'm not with you in person, but looking forward to seeing everyone next week.